Let's stick with them. And is Jack Campbell and Mrazek, are the cracks being shown, do you think? Or can they rebound here and compile that with the injury to Muzzin? Are things suddenly looking dire in Toronto?
I think there is cause for concern. And I think you could argue that Kyle Dubas painted himself into a corner by signing Mrazek in the summer, because it's not like Mrazek has a sparkling track record of sustained success and health. And you're shelling out a pretty decent sized cap hit, obviously more than what Campbell's is this year, for a goaltender that is not guaranteed to be an above average contributor, has not been for significant stretches of his career so far. And with Jack Campbell, there was always the risk that he could falter. It's strange because you want to think of what Campbell has done in the last, let's say, calendar year as legitimate. It fits his pedigree. Of course, we know he's a high first round pick relative to goaltenders. He was a tremendous junior. He won gold with Team USA. Everyone knows the story, right? That was his pedigree. So the good version of Jack Campbell, that is what Jack Campbell was always supposed to be. But obviously his route to get here was very circuitous. And we know there are some problems with the space between his ears. I don't think there's a player I can remember that is so open about his performance, that is so hard on himself after every single game. He reminds me of myself when I play softball. I get in my head, getting big slumps. And with Jack Campbell, he shouldn't be beating himself, but you worry when he gets into a slump more than I think, as is the case with most goaltenders. You worry it can become something bigger because he gets in his head. He's so hard on himself. You can hear his teammates try to ease up on him, or tell him to ease up on himself rather, because he gets in his head. So now you have a problem where you have Campbell, who's starting to slip. Obviously, his play has really slipped in the new year, but you don't really have the safety net with Peter Mrazek. So what do you do with that cap hit? I do think you have to consider kicking the tires on someone like a Braden Holtby when it comes to the trade deadline, if you can shake him loose from Dallas. I think it's a possibility because obviously Dallas is going to give the net long-term to Jake Ottinger anyways, but someone like that has the big game experience would be, I think, a good backup for Jack Campbell. Obviously, it means moving money around. You have to do something with Mrazek if that's the case. But I think Dubas has to think of it as, I think, possibly his last stand. You can't bomb out in the first round a sixth year in a row. You have to pull out all the stops, and that means getting that upgrade in net, or at least the safety net. And that could actually help Jack Campbell take the pressure off if he knows there's someone that can help him, that he can learn from. And I think, if you look at the Ilya Lyubushkin trade, that's not addressing the need. We know the need is a right shot defenseman to play with Muzzin, but we're talking second pair. I think long term the upside of Lyubushkin is more bottom pair, right? So I don't think the work is done there. Whether it's someone like a Josh Manson, I think it's got to be someone that has some sandpaper to his game. We've seen time and again teams pick on Jake Muzzin, especially in the playoffs, because there's no other physical presence you have to answer to in Toronto, in my opinion, in the top four, especially the guys playing the big minutes. And we've seen Muzzin time and again get banged up because teams, they like to pound him on the forecheck, right? So I do think that Dubas has to explore the market for that legitimate top four right shot defenseman.